I don't care how big and tough you are. If it hasn't already happened to you, then I promise you, you're really, really not going to enjoy having plaster in the eye, especially if you get a particularly bad one. If you get it bad, or like it's almost like having a hot needle in your eye for the duration of the night that you can't get out, and you just got to sit it out until it cools down, which takes hours. So if you do get a bad one, it's very, very painful. Now let's look at what a bad one might be. Okay, here we got 3 different states of plaster. This one up here, this is knocked up quite thick. Okay, so the plaster is made up of, you know, sandy sort of granules of different sizes, and it's got the gypsum and stuff like that, the cement stuff, which gives you the burn, the sting, which is obviously the cement of the actual plaster. So if we've knocked it up, it's fresh plaster, it's 1% set. We've got these large granules represented in black, and these red dots represent the smaller granules. As you can see, because it's knocked up quite thick, there's not much water in there. So all the granules are quite densely put together. Let's have a look at this one. As you can see, it's not holding its weight so well. This is also 1% set, but it's knocked up a hell of a lot wetter. And as you can see, we've represented the larger particles being much more spaced out, as well as the smaller particles. Okay, again, it's at 1% set, but wet. This one down here, we're at 70% set, and this is the stuff when you're troweling up, the sludge you get out and you start washing your trowel off, you know, the fat, some people call it. It's the stuff that you don't really want. It's the residue that you don't want. You squeeze that out of the plaster as you're troweling up. So it's towards the end of the wall you get this stuff, and as I say, it's 70% set. It's much less larger particles in there, because the larger particles at this point are crushed into the body of the plaster, of the ceiling, of the wall, what you're doing. So we're left with the smaller particles. Now, the worst one to get in your eye is this one. This is the killer. Reason being is, because this is a lot thicker, this one, if you get that in your eye, and a great place to get it is working underneath a spotlight. But what happens is the plaster that gets into the spotlight, after a while, you know, if it's on a plasterboard ceiling, that plasterboard will start drying out and sucking the moisture out, and it's much more firm. So what happens is that will hit your eye, and you can't help it. You're going to shut your eye. Okay, it's your immediate reaction. You know, it's going to sit on your eye because it's so thick. It hasn't got the chance to get around the eye so much, okay? So it will sting, but you've got a good chance of that, you know, just being on the skin of the eye, and you'll be able to get it out. This one, that's gonna sting a lot, but because there's hardly any particles in it, or larger particles, it's less chance of getting a scratch from it. And where it's so thin and the particles so small, you've got a good chance of washing it out. I mean, that will sting. This one, however, is, like I say, the killer. Because, I'll get onto that as well, because it makes a difference about how old the plaster is. This is 1% set. So if you get this in the eye, because it's wet, and you shut your eye, you have a chance of squishing that plaster all around your eye and getting back up into the socket. And because it's so wet, you've got the chance of carrying these larger particles round the eye, causing a scratch to the eye as well, as it crushes in and you put all the pressure on your eyes. That's the one. When you get a scratch and you get the chemical burn from the gypsum and lime in it, whatever they use to put inside it, that's the real killer. If you get this in the eye, it stings, but because it's at 70% set, it's only got 30% of its strength left. Yeah, this stuff up here, because it's wet and it's fresh, you've got 99% of its set left. So all that gypsum and lime and everything it's like a fresh ding in it, or it's really going to get you. So yeah, particularly that is definitely the worst one to get. And there is certain instances where you have to watch out for it. Now, the time I personally got the worst one in the eye, I had a brand new trowel. It was quite a large trowel. I think it was 18, and it was a stainless steel. Brand new, hardly used it at all. So there was hardly any key. It was clean as anything. And what I was doing was plastering a couple of ceilings either side of an RSJ, a reinforced steel girder. Yeah. So we've got the ceilings here, got the little girder that comes down where the wall's been knocked down. Okay. And then I was putting my trowel on there to do this bottom bit. Okay. There's my trowel there. So I had a overhang of the trowel either side of the RSJ. So what I was doing, I mean, I've had plaster in the eye, quite a bad one the months before, and I've got it in one eye, and I managed to sit it out that night, and I did go to work again the next morning, but I didn't seek any medical advice or anything. I just knew that really hurt. Even the next morning, I was like a mouse in the wind. You know, a gust of wind would hurt it, and one of the first things I did was go down and get some protective glasses and wore them all day just to keep air off my eye, basically, the wind. So I knew how painful that was, and as a result, you always kind of like watch out for it. So on this particular occasion, just doing this RSJ, brand new trowel. Okay, so it was really, really slippery. I'd wet it up. I was putting the first coat on, and as I know not to stand underneath the trowel, as I was putting the first coat on, pulled back, and then as I stopped before it got close enough to my face and I'm working right underneath it, a little drop of plaster, which had been wet right down on the trowel, just flicked off and just got me square, tiny little bit, square in the eye. Of course, shut my eye. And I knew it was quite a bad one. But I was like, well, we've got the set on. I'm going to have to, try and wash it out as best I can, but I could feel there was a scratch there on it. So washed it out as best as I could, carried on setting the ceiling. So then got it all flattened in and stuff. It was very crunchy in the eye. So then it was time to put the second coat on. And in exactly the same spot on that RSJ again, I was like putting the second coat on. I had that eye slightly closed. It's coming back off the back of the trowel. Little bit flew off, hit me directly in the other eye. And I'd been left alone on the job. I was there with the builder to start off with, and he left to go and do some stuff. And when it hit me in the other eye, I literally just said, "You've got to be fucking joking me. I haven't had it in the eye for such a long time, and I've just got both eyes literally in the space of half an hour." It hurt, and I knew it was another bad one. Again, it was this one that got me, because the trowel was so brand new, so wet. It was really, really slippery, and it was able to fly off that trowel. It hurt. I carried on setting. We got the ceiling down in the end, and as the ceiling set in the time period, the pain in the eyes was getting worse and worse and worse the closer I was getting to that, because the gear was starting to set inside your eye. It got around it, it's starting to set, and the burn's starting to really kick in, along with that getting into that scratch into the eye. So cut a long story slightly short, as it set, the pain was so excruciating and my eyes were streaming with water. I was virtually blinded. I could not do anything else for the rest of the day. I managed to find myself up into the customer's bathroom, got the shower head and started, washing it out. It didn't really make much difference, to be honest with you. The burn was there, the scratch was in there. I came back down and the pain was so much. If I kept my eyes closed, if I opened them, the eye was watering so much and it stung so much that I couldn't see anyway. So I spent maybe another hour or so. I had to sit down in the room. I couldn't use my phone because I couldn't see it. I couldn't drive, that was for sure. I had to sit down in the room and wait for the builder to come back. When he come back, I was just sat on my hop up there with my eyes closed, meditating, breathing because of the pain it was in. And I obviously explained what happens. And he was like, oh, crikey, and all that. And he had some ibuprofen or something, some real strong painkillers. And he gave me a couple of those. And after about half an hour or so, it managed to kill the pain just enough that I could get my eyes open and they kind of stopped watering. And I was able then to drive the 20 minutes back home and then think about what I was going to do next. And yeah, it was about 20 minutes and the pain started kicking back in. It was taken over from the painkillers. Cut a long story slightly short. 12 o'clock at night, I was coming out of the hospital with my head, my eyes all bandaged up. And it was such a relief to have that dye put in there that they put in there, which numbs it up as well. So yeah, that's what happened to me. That was the worst one ever. So if you haven't had it happen, then watch out for it. Please take advice from this video. If you have had it happen, then I'm sure you will sympathise with me. So yeah, it's just a real quick one today. If you do like the videos, we've done quite a few of them now. We're quite a young channel doing this plastering stuff. Please do have a look at the other videos. I learned to do this the other day, or it might be there in the corner. There's a little link to the playlist with loads of other bits and pieces on there. Have a look, and please, I'm right on the cusp of hitting the first milestone that you need to do if you're going to be a YouTube creator. So I'm something like 19 subscribers away from hitting that benchmark. So if you do us a solid, give us a subscribe, and that would be great. So that all said and done, please have a great day, and I shall see you soon when we get the next video up.